realized early that with the amount of people that come here, why should I be on the road killing myself?
At 80, Wayne Newton's stunning financial downfall shocks fans. Could the king of Vegas be ready for a comeback? What led Wayne Newton, once a Las Vegas icon, to lose it all? The answers might surprise you. Wayne Newton's rise, fall, and rise again. What really happened behind the scenes, and is this his ultimate return? The height of fame. Wayne Newton's rise to fame was one of the most amazing events in the history of Las Vegas entertainment. Newton, who was known as Mr. Las Vegas, became the face of a city known for its bright lights, big shows, and unmatched excess. He showed what it meant to be a Vegas star by going from being a great young player to the main attraction. At that time, Newton's name was linked to great entertainment, and his shows were always packed with people eager to enjoy his smooth voice and captivating stage personality. Newton worked hard at live acting for a long time before he became known as Mr. Las Vegas. Newton stood out from other artists who only stayed in Vegas for a short time because he was consistent and worked hard. By signing long-term deals with some of the most famous places on the Strip, he made Las Vegas his fixed home in the world of entertainment. Newton used to put on several shows every night because people just couldn't get enough. No matter the size of the room, a small bar or a huge showroom, he could enchant anyone who saw him perform. Fans came back regularly to see the magic he made on stage. Newton was more appealing because he could connect with his viewers in a way that no one else could. It was like he was singing directly to every person in the room during each show. Even in large venues, his smooth delivery and magnetic personality made people feel close to him. Because of this trait, he was able to build a loyal fan base that stuck with him throughout his career. Newton always did things with such skill and style that his peers and fans looked up to him and respected him every night. His success went beyond giving live lectures. It was a big hit for Newton, especially Danke Schoen, which became his signature song. For people who remember when he was at the height of his fame, the song is still an important part of culture and brought his voice to people all over the world. He also put out albums that showed his range and ability to change, which was more proof of his many skills. Newton also worked in the studio and on TV, where he added his charm to variety shows and events that were filmed in places other than Las Vegas. These events give fans a chance to get to know the artist better, which strengthens his connection with the crowd. It was unheard of for Newton to keep doing well on the Strip. Newton became a regular visitor and stayed for long periods of time, which allowed him to make something more lasting than just a short time in the spotlight, while other artists only played at a few events here and there. This constancy sets him apart. Newton was there, and his fans knew those shows would be worth their time and money. Newton lived longer than many of his peers, in part because he was reliable and clearly very smart. He was a talent whose name was linked to the whole Vegas experience, not just one show. Newton did great things in his job, and the way he lived at the time reflected the excess and wealth of Las Vegas during its height. His huge house, which became known as Casa de Shenandoah, came to stand for his wealth. The house had strange animals, well-kept grounds, and furniture that showed how great Newton was. It wasn't just a house, it was proof of what he had done after years of hard work. Newton's collection of expensive cars, private planes, and other signs of wealth made him look like a man who had reached the pinnacle of success. In addition to being a great actor, Newton was also the personification of a happy life for her fans. There was a big win in Wayne Newton's career, both personally and professionally. During this golden age, he seemed to have it all: skill, fame, and money. Even though the building looked nice on the outside, the bright lights and shiny facade hinted at problems that were to come. Following such a lavish lifestyle cost a lot, and he had to keep up his image as Mr. Las Vegas all the time. Still, Newton's reputation as one of the most admired artists of his time grew stronger during these years. Wayne Newton's financial fight. The financial disaster that happened to Wayne Newton wasn't a one-time event. Instead, it was a slow collapse caused by changing market trends, bad business decisions, and growing legal issues. People used to think Newton was the most successful person in Las Vegas, but as the entertainment scene changed, he realized he was living a different life. Newton's shows were the most popular in Las Vegas for a long time, but over the years the city's sights have changed. Massive, high-tech productions, famous DJ visits, and A-list pop tours began to bring in the huge crowds that had been at Newton's shows before. Younger people liked these more modern acts because they had amazing visuals, cutting-edge sound systems, and huge marketing budgets that were much bigger than the usual flash of Vegas cabaret events. Newton's once reliable ticket sales began to drop as people on the Strip changed what kinds of shows they liked. Running large-scale activities made things worse. Newton was known as Mr. Las Vegas for a good reason. Audiences expected his shows to be big and fancy, with big bands and complicated stage sets. A lot of money had to be spent on these shows, and over time the costs of running them became higher than the money they made. Newton's name was still respected, but his earnings were getting worse, as it cost more to run his business and made less money. Newton had problems off the stage as well as in the business world. Over time, he put money into different businesses in the hopes of making more money in different ways. Sadly, many of these projects did not have the results that were hoped for. A few were badly run, and others were too idealistic. Newton's money problems got worse because he kept putting money into projects that weren't working. He was getting more and more stressed out because of rising production costs, falling ticket sales, and failing companies. These purchases went from being a safety net for money to being a burden. There were also legal issues that came up, which added to the stress. Newton was sued a lot for breach of contract, debt, and other money issues. Court battles cost a lot of money, both in terms of settlements and decisions, but also in terms of time and work. Tax problems made it harder to pay for things. Public records showed that Newton had a lot of tax liens put on him by the IRS for unpaid taxes. Eventually, the stress over money made him file for bankruptcy, which was a true reflection of how bad his problems were. His personal life is also being affected by his money problems. Getting into stressful court battles and having unstable income made it hard to get along with family members. His closest business and friendships were put to the test by his mounting debt and cases. Newton's public image started to change when the news focused more on his money problems than on his wins. He used to be seen as rich and famous. The fact is that Newton was determined to keep working even after all of this. Even though his money problems were all over the news, he stayed committed to his job. He kept doing gigs, talking to audiences, and showing the toughness that had made his work what it was from the start. Despite facing problems, he stayed in the entertainment business thanks to his ability and charm. Newton was always dedicated to his work, even when things changed around him. Getting better wasn't a straight line. Newton had to make big changes in his personal life and at work. To get his finances back on track, he had to cut back on his lifestyle and keep a close eye on the money he still had. He made all of his decisions based on what he learned during this hard time. There were many parts of Newton's life that were affected by the economic crisis, but he stayed true to his heritage and was determined to rebuild one show at a time. The fight for recovery. When Wayne Newton was trying to get out of debt, he started by doing what he did best, performing. Newton came back into the public eye, but this time the stories were mostly about his debts and cases. He had lived on stage for decades and loved it. Going back there paid more than just his pay. It gave him a chance to talk to viewers and tell them why he went by the name Mr. Las Vegas. Newton always had a close bond with his supporters, and being able to keep that connection strong helped him get better. The choice to keep acting was more than just dwelling on the past. Newton knew that the nightlife had changed. He changed because he could no longer afford to put on the big, expensive shows that made him famous. He cut down on the number of speeches he gave and focused on smaller, more private events. Instead of big events, he liked smaller ones, because that's where his unique melodies, charm, and stories could shine through the most. With these shows, He can stay in the business without having to worry about the big costs that came with his other projects. Newton also made sure that he looked different. Besides the usual shows he did in Las Vegas, he looked into opportunities that could take him to other places and played his new songs for younger audiences. Working on special events, TV appearances, and one-off concerts helped build his image as a famous performer. Each show showed new and old fans that Wayne Newton was still a force to be reckoned with, which helped to strengthen his brand. It took more than just success to rebuild his brand. Newton found ways to keep his income steady by carefully looking over his financial plans. He used to lose a lot of money on risky investments, but today he was more careful about how he approached business tasks. He focused on projects that would last and make sense, so everything he did helped with healing in the long run. Newton used his fame to sell goods and mementos that gave his fans a piece of his famous career. These projects not only made him money, but they also solidified his place in the history of entertainment. In the middle of all this, Newton had to think about the choices he had made that cost him money. He said he had made mistakes, like spending too much money on useless things and living in a way that wasn't appropriate for his income. The process required painful but necessary acknowledgement of these mistakes. Newton learned to put financial responsibility first by talking to trustworthy experts and making smarter decisions. It wasn't easy to make the change, but it had to be done to keep the same problems from happening again. The key was to not give up. Newton made things all the time. Despite changes in the business and problems that seemed impossible to solve, he kept going. He kept being there for his fans, keeping them entertained and pushing himself to get better. That will was what made him unique. Newton was determined even when things went wrong, which is something many artists would have given up on. He made the best of his position and showed that his talent and desire were more important than money. Through it all, Newton stayed grateful for his fans' loyalty. The people who were there for him through good times and bad were what kept him going. He never took that link for granted, which is what drove him to keep getting better. Newton knew that his crowd was the most important thing he had, whether he was trying something new or performing an old favorite like Danke Schön. Their love for what they did kept him going and reminded him of why he started acting in the first place. It wasn't easy or quick for Wayne Newton to get better. He had to change the way he thought about business, get used to the new situation, and learn from his mistakes. The things that happened did not change his love of acting or his love for his fans. He was stronger and had a clearer sense of direction after going through his problems. Newton showed that it is possible to get back on track even when things look hopeless by focusing on what he liked and working hard at what he did. Wayne Newton's story today is more than just a story of getting back on his feet financially. In this case, it shows how to be brave, creative, and follow your calling. By getting past these problems, Newton not only got back on track, but he also made his image as a beloved performer even stronger. His story shows how determined and adaptable people can be to use even the worst situations as stepping stones to a better future, aging gracefully and embracing his legacy. Even though he is 80 years old, Wayne Newton is still a big name in show business. His long work and close relationship with his fans have solidified his place in show business history. Newton doesn't see his continued presence as a memory, but as a living tribute to his courage and drive. He has had to deal with many problems over the years, but he still loves performing because it tells fans why he is seen as a real Las Vegas icon. In the past few years, Newton has learned how to stay fresh while still honoring his legacy. He still performs for his loyal fans, goes to special events, and is the same friendly and charming person that made his work famous. His schedule isn't as full as it used to be, but every act shows how dedicated he is to the trade. Newton knows that these events are more than just shows. They're chances for him to thank his fans for their support and show how much he still loves playing. Newton's path has lessons that are useful for both viewers and people who want to become entertainers. He has been through hard times in his personal life and with money, as well as amazing times of success. His story shows how important it is to be persistent, adaptable, and grounded. Over the years, he has shown how to handle the ups and downs of fame without losing sight of the beliefs that drove him to become an entertainer in the first place. Younger artists get a lot of ideas from Newton's work. It shows that success isn't just about moving up the ladder, it's also about getting past problems and finding ways to move forward. In a business where things change quickly, Newton's ability to reinvent himself, shrink when needed, and keep his fans at the center of everything he does is a way to live a lifetime. Young performers are encouraged by his story to follow their dreams and learn from their mistakes, as well as to make smart, thoughtful choices about their careers. In addition to his own success, Newton has definitely made the Las Vegas nightlife scene better. The way we think of a Vegas star today changed because of his long stays. Newton's steady presence gave the Strip security an honor at a time when it was still becoming known as a world-class entertainment hub. He showed that Las Vegas could have world-class theater, which defined what it meant to be a resident performer. It wasn't just about gambling and going out at night. Newton has had a bigger effect on the entertainment business than just his name on a sign. He has helped many artists learn how to be professional, consistent, and good at putting on shows. His impact goes beyond the past. It still affects how local artists do their work and talk to people who come to see it. Today, people who want to leave a lasting impact on business can still look to Newton's work as an example. Newton sees his legacy as a mix of lessons learned and things he did well during his time. Even though they were hard, his problems and setbacks have made his story more complex. These events have made his path important because they show that even the brightest stars have problems. One thing that sets Newton apart is his ability to deal with problems, keep working, and repay those who have helped him. Newton is still thankful for the life he has built and the people who have helped him along the way. No matter how small, every appearance shows that he values his connection with his fans. His talks today are not just memories of how brilliant he used to be, they are part of a lifelong mission to inspire and entertain people. Wayne Newton didn't just leave behind songs or shows, that's how he approached every step of his work. How determined he was to keep going even when things got hard, and how thankful he was for every stage. His story shows how strong passion, determination, and a close connection between an artist and their fans can be. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the next video popping up on your screen for more exciting stories and updates.